Ladies and gentlemen, Binnall of America!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Tim Binnall.
No commercials, no subscriptions, no network, no rules, and at the end of the day, my friends, no comparison. Welcome back to another edition of BOA The Revival. And tonight's show was kind of a long time coming. It was one of those, when I knew I was bringing Binnall of America back, I was like, well, of course, we're getting this guy back on the show at some point once the Revival gets going. And it turns out he's got a book coming out in early June. We may be dropping this episode close to when the book comes out rather than the middle of May. We'll see. And I'm talking about our dear friend Jason Offutt. He's back on Binnall of America. Interestingly enough, I was, for the long time guests, I like to look into the archive to see what their BOA history is. And we actually had Jason on the show back almost on this day, May 26, 2009. He was on the show. Yeah, I know, dude. Back 15 years ago, we had him on the Binnall of America for the first time. And he on an episode which was followed the next week by William Zabel, believe it or not. So he was actually the episode after William Zabel, excuse me. So, yeah, they're forever entwined in BOA history. And
yeah, we're like this, and since people can't see, I've got my hands joined tightly.
Exactly. And he's been a fixture of Binnall of America ever since. And he's been a part of the baseball specials. He's appeared all the time on the show. Last time we had him on was a little over 3 years ago in April of 2021. So it's been a while, but it's been a while since Binnall of America was kicking. And now that we're back.
You're forgetting the Lost Cast. I was on the Lost Cast as well.
Yep, you were on the Lost Cast. You're like you like Celebrity Family Feud or whatever, like Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. It's like, well, we got to bring in some special guests for these theme shows, and it's like, well, who we got? Jason Offutt. Get him in the.
That's right. Jason's one of the guys who isn't dead yet, so let's bring him back.
The pool is growing shallower by the year here, but all America.
Hey, Tim, do you remember how the first interview started?
How the very first interview we did started? No, I don't recall that at all.
You don't recall that? Well, I was a fan of your show, and I commented on one of your shows, and you got me on the air.
Oh, all right. Well, you had just come out with. You've had a very interesting career, obviously, even leading up to when we got you on Binnall of America the first time. But you wrote a lot of paranormal stuff. Paranormal books. I'm thinking about, where the hell was the tab I had open here? Here we go. Haunted Missouri, What Lurks Beyond. We had you on originally, I think, to talk about What Lurks Beyond or Darkness Walks, talking about shadow people among us.
Shadow people, yeah, one of those two, yeah.
Yeah. And also, yeah, so we had you on about that. And then later on, you wrote Across a Corn-Swept Land. That's sort of more of a travel log.
Right.
That is fantastic. And you've got just a shitload of books, dude. I'm looking at the list right now. And then you kind of, I think you had done fiction before, but then now you really have sort of established yourself in the fiction realm. That's what we've got to get the plug in here. That's kind of why we got this show together tonight. Your critically acclaimed book, The Girl in the Corn, and you've got a sequel coming out now. The Boy from Two Worlds, and that's going to be out June 4th. And people can get that at Amazon. And if you're listening to this before June 4th, I'm almost certain it's going to be before June 4th. You go and pre-order it.
Actually, right now, yeah, and there's a deal on Amazon to where The Girl in the Corn, if you haven't read that yet, before the sequel, The Boy from Two Worlds comes out, The Girl in the Corn right now is $0 on for the audiobook and the ebook. I think it is, and The Boy from Two Worlds for the ebook right now is $2.99.
Wow.
So for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be that cheap. And then when the actual physical books release, you can get a physical book. I like those better than audio and ebooks, just because I like to hold. I like to hold the book. I like the smell of the book. But to each his own.
Now, how do you read the audiobook, or does the publisher have somebody who does that?
No, the publisher gets actual voice artists.
Oh, wow.
To read the books. And I've had four of my books that are audio. My humorous science fiction time travel book. So you had to buy, or you had to build a time machine. The Girl in the Corn, now the Boy from Two Worlds, are all audio book, as well as from a different publisher. Chasing American Monsters is also an audio book. And Chasing American Monsters, is I went through the United States of America and pulled out the best, creepiest, weirdest monsters from every state, and that book is sold really well. And right now I am working on the sequel to Chasing American Monsters. It's called Chasing North American Monsters. So I go from the Panama Canal all the way up through Canada to the Arctic Circle and cover all the monsters.
Interesting. All right. So Latin American monsters.
I've got a lot of those. There are a lot of weird monsters in Latin America.
Give me an example.
Well, everything in the Caribbean. I'm just now getting to Mexico, but I've got everything south of Mexico. There are a lot of monsters who have backwards feet.
Interesting. Weird.
That's one of the weird things. Yeah, a lot of backwards feet. And the reason for the backwards feet is so people can't track it.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, because they think it's going one way, but it's going another way.
Yeah.
And there are also a lot of monsters with that were human women who were spurned by men, and they started taking their revenge out. Like La Llorona's one of them.
Yeah, that's the iconic one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the iconic one. But there's another one that has a horse skull. She's a gorgeous woman, and she's wearing a veil, but if you approach her in the middle of nowhere and hit on her, she turns around and looks at you with her horse skull and then rips your throat out.
Damn, dude. Oh, wow.
Hey, don't piss women off. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
They're here to be cherished, and they're all smarter than we are, so we just need to step back and just smile a lot. There you go.
So Now, this is the second time you've written a sequel, because you wrote Bad Day for the Apocalypse and then Bad Day for a Road Trip. What's the challenge, I guess you could say, in writing a sequel? Is it difficult more than creating a story from scratch?
Well, the most difficult part is, and actually it's not that hard, is actually putting in enough information that if somebody hasn't read the first book, they know what's going on as you're telling your new story. Right, because a badly written sequel, if somebody hasn't read the first book, the second book, they don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I can see that. Yeah. I can imagine that. But I suppose in a way when you're writing the original book, you sort of have these other ideas where it'd be like, oh, it'd be cool if these characters went on another adventure or something, right?
Right. Here's exactly what the inside of a fiction author's head looks like. Is if you take a bucket of ping pong balls and dump them down the basement steps. That's what the inside of our heads look like. We've got ideas going all over the damn place.
All right.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what exactly you meant by that. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, I see. Now, I was thinking about this the other day. Now, you don't have to spoil anything, so don't do that. But have you ever killed off like one of your main characters? And is that like a difficult choice, or is that something that you kind of relish?
Okay, I hate happy endings. Because you know what? I've lived enough life. Happy endings, they don't exist really. Not that often. So in my second novel, it was Bad Day for the Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. At the very end, I was not expecting to write a sequel, so I killed everybody. Everybody did. Everybody. My editor was like, you know what? I think there's more to this. Maybe you don't want to kill everybody. So I didn't kill everybody, and the sequel came about. With The Girl in the Corn, the original ending, the main character died. And again, my editor was like, Jason, come on, man. No, don't kill this guy because there's more story here. So I kept him alive, and we had more story. But yeah, I subscribe to this theory before I heard Stephen King say it, and King was like, whenever I'm stuck in a work of fiction, I just kill somebody. Yeah, and I'm like, that's brilliant. Where more stuck are you than the end? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. People can't end a book well, so if you just fucking kill somebody, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, has there been The Girl in the Corn was pretty popular? Has there been any talk of any Hollywood talk?
No, not at this point. Man, I always have my fingers crossed. Yeah. But I've dealt with stuff in Hollywood, and man, it's next to impossible. Anything I see on the screen, I'm like, they went through a lot of work. Yeah, to get that on the screen. A couple of years ago, I was approached by a couple of producers. One of the producers worked on the cake baking show, Nailed It. A lot of people like that show, but anyway, he and another guy approached me to host a paranormal TV show, and we got as far as the sizzle reel, which was really pretty cool, but nobody bought on. Not even Sci-Fi bought it. But anyway, there's a lot of work that has to go, and a lot of people who have to say yes. So anything that gets made is a damn miracle. So hopefully one day something of mine will get on there, but who knows?
Yeah, it's hard. It's like they buy the rights to the book and then nothing ever happens, and it's kind of like you hear, oh, we're working on it and everything, and nothing.
Or there's something happens like one of my all-time favorite books, I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which was published in 1954, maybe early 1950s, and it was made into 3 movies. Yeah. And all 3 of them were, they screwed the book up. So,
yeah,
that's
one of those
another problem.
The Will Smith movie, right?
Right. Which was a fine movie until the end, and they didn't nail the ending. Another one was a Charlton Heston's Omega Man from 1973, I think, and 1964's The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price. But they all screwed the book up. Richard Matheson actually said in an interview after the Will Smith movie that Hollywood loves my book, just not enough to get it right.
Well, I hope there can be a Girl in the Corn film or The Boy from Two Worlds. Either way, but you need to write. Oh, yes. Well, you get the first one, then you get the sequel. Yeah. So, but I have to have a role in the movie, though. That's part of the deal. You should somehow include that in. Just like super fine print in the contract, but all. Well,
and this is something, Tim, that you hit me up about years ago that you wanted to be part of what you labeled the Offutt verse. So ever since then, you've been in every novel I've written. That's right. In my humorous sci-fi. So you had to build a time machine. You were a street. You were Tim Binnall Avenue.
Yep.
You were. In The Boy from Two Worlds, you are a brand of beer.
Yes.
Yeah. And in The Girl in the Corn, you were a guy whose 1974 Chevy Nova was stolen.
There you go. See, that's why folks need to go out and get the books and look for the Binnall Easter eggs, because they're in there. They're in there. I appreciate that, dude. It's one of the coolest, one of the neatest things that I've had happen to me. So,
yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So it's hard to ask about the books because it's like fiction. I don't want to give away. Can you give us a thumbnail on The Boy from Two Worlds? What can people expect from this book if they pick it up and read it?
Well, let's take a step back to The Girl in the Corn, who won.
Sure.
The book won a couple of really big awards. The Independent Book Publishers Association Gold Benjamin Franklin Award for the best horror novel of the year and the best audio horror novel of the year.
Oh, very nice.
It was also up for a Silver Falchion Award, but it was nominated. That's enough. Anyway, so that's gotten a lot of accolades. It's the story about a farm boy who grows up. He saw, when he was a young man, he saw a fairy in the cornfield. And what happened, the fairy followed him his entire life. And this isn't a Disney fairy. Yeah. This is a traditional fairy from mythology, and they are some mean son of a bitches.
Yes.
And so she behaves as a traditional Norse fairy and causes this guy a whole lot of problems. The second book, The Boy from Two Worlds, after an almost apocalyptic ending to The Girl in the Corn, she's still around and is trying to kidnap a young boy who has more fairy power than she does. Oh. He just doesn't know it yet.
Oh, damn. This sounds like a movie. Get on this, Hollywood.
It does. I know. Damn it. Hollywood, listen.
Oh, goodness me. Wow. So that's coming out June 4th. Go pre-order it now, folks. It sounds awesome. And Jason gave away where the Binnall Easter egg, but you still have to find it in the book. It's like, where's Waldo? You gotta get the book, read it, and find the Binnall Easter egg. So that's really cool. How long does it take you to write a book like this?
It really depends. I've written a book like this with the first draft within 3 months before. Usually it takes more like 6.
Yeah.
But that's where I go. My nonfiction usually most of my nonfiction are monster books or paranormal. They take longer because there's a lot more research. Which is a lot of fun. I mean, I love writing books on the paranormal, but novels are fun because I get to let everything go.
Right, exactly.
I don't even think while I'm writing. Stuff just comes out of my fingers and onto the screen. It's really weird how it happens. The creative process is absolutely batshit crazy.
Now, do you have sort of like a schedule? Are you still teaching, right?
Well, yeah, I was until last week. Now I'm on vacation for 4 months.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So, see, this is one of the great things about doing what I'm doing right now, teaching, is when teaching at a university, I have summers off that I can do other things that I like, this is where I do most of my writing.
Yeah.
Is during the summer because I've got the time to do it.
Yeah.
I imagine when I retire, I'll also garden, but that scares me to death.
Right.
But I'm still teaching. I love teaching at the university. Just lecturing on something I love to do, which is writing, is what I talk mostly about. I also teach a film class. It's a horror / science fiction film class. Oh, wow. And I also teach photography, and I'm passionate about all three of those. And when I lecture and the students get what I'm saying and they're excited about it, man, that's a rush. It is. Yeah. It feels great.
Do you have to worry about AI and the kids writing the papers with the AI? I heard that.
This is basically the first year that I've had any problem with that. And I had one student who tried to sneak an AI story past me.
Oh, wow.
And here's the thing that they don't get is that AI is not going to write in your style. You've already handed things into me.
Yeah,
I know what your writing style's like. So if I get something and there are words that I know you don't know what they are. Yeah, that's a big red flag. And then there are programs you can run stories through, and it will tell if it's AI or not.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Plus, I heard like a big tell is like the grammar is like perfect or whatever in the AI, and it's like, all right, it's better written grammatically than one would expect from most students.
Right. Again, it's like, hey, kid, I know you don't know where to put a goddamn comma, all right?
Right, yeah.
Wait a second. That was a semicolon? You don't even know what a semicolon is. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm against the semicolon. I don't ever use it. I should know how to use it, but I'll be honest, I fear the semicolon.
A lot of people do, and a lot of people don't use the semicolon. What they do is they use two sentences instead of using a semicolon.
Yeah, I'm like the master of the run-on sentence. Yeah, I don't care. I love a good run-on sentence.
Oh my God, they're the worst, Tim. Stop it. Oh.
I need private tutoring from Offutt here on out.
You probably should. Yeah, I'll give you my rates later. Yeah, semicolons. The best thing I ever had with a semicolon is my mom years ago had colon cancer, she had part of her colon removed, and she was fine. It was localized. They got rid of it, and she was in the recovery room on morphine. And I went in to see her, and I'm like, Mom, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're doing fine. But you do know now that you have a semicolon. Even on morphine, she didn't think it was funny. I thought I was pretty goddamn hilarious.
It's pretty clever. I saw where that was going, but you're some gallows humor there from Offutt. I like it. So, all right. So this is interesting. Yeah, I've thought about writing fiction. So it's something that it sounds like a lot more fun than writing a nonfiction book.
Well, again, nonfiction, and the thing is with one of the things that fiction and nonfiction have in common is the fact that you still have to get your facts right. Yeah, because if you're writing about okay, for an example, with the Girl in the Corn, one of the villains, the main villain, did a whole lot of terrorist type attacks in this Midwestern city, involving a ricin attack. Oh, God. He built pipe bombs with homemade detonators. I had to research how that stuff was done.
Right. Oh, God.
So with nonfiction, you've got to get all your facts straight. With fiction, you got to get your facts straight, because if I was writing how to build a homemade detonator for a homemade pipe bomb, there's somebody out there reading going, that guy didn't know what the hell he's talking about. Why should I finish reading this book? Yeah. So what I had down was how to actually do it.
Jesus. Yeah, but on the flip side of that, now you're on some kind of fucking watch list, right? Because you got all these Google searches for if
the FBI confiscates my laptop, man, I'm screwed. I'm totally screwed, man.
They're like, who is this Offutt guy in Missouri, and why is he doing so much Googling about ricin attacks?
I've been on an FBI watch list, I think, since probably the late 1990s. Because I used to write a humor column, and I wanted to find out what brand of toilet paper the president used. Yeah. So I contacted the White House. And I went through all their procedures to ask a question to the president. Yeah. And I never got an answer back. Jeez. And I have a feeling, since I went through all that I'm on the FBI's watch list. And I only wanted to know because if the president's using 3-ply expensive toilet paper, he's wasting my tax dollars. Damn it, he should be, buying from Dollar General.
Wow. All right.
So, that's my point.
So no perforated edges for Offutt.
No. If the president, he should be buying what I'm buying.
I think you need to get back on this. I think it's been like 30 years. You should be able to find this out much easier now.
I should FOIA. I should do a FOIA on me, because I'm sure I'm there. Yeah,
that would be interesting. Yeah. Be like toilet paper thing, ricin attacks. Yeah, fucking black-eyed kids.
If I'm known for anything, if it's the toilet paper thing, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, now, over the years, we've had you on over the years, obviously, as we said at the beginning. And you were kind of on the Black Eyed Kids, like, early. As I said, it was like 15 years ago that we first talked to you. I think that was either the first appearance or the second appearance that we talked about the Black-Eyed Kids. It's a very interesting sort of phenomenon in a way, because it was like it was kind of hot at the moment, but it's like no one talks about Black-Eyed Kids anymore. It's sort of like a very late aughts, early teens, I guess you would call it, paranormal thing.
It started in 1998 when Brian Bethel, who was a newspaper reporter in Texas, I think it was Arlington maybe, he had an encounter and posted it on a message board, because that's how you did things back in 1998. And it didn't catch fire immediately, but people started reposting what he had posted, and then it started to catch some attention. And I ended up interviewing a ton of people who claimed that they had Black-Eyed Kid encounters. Yeah, and I interviewed Brian Bethel. I talked to him about it, and he says that he still lives in the same town, and it scares the hell out of him to drive past the area where he encountered the Black-Eyed Kids. But you're right; it's people aren't talking about them. And they've kind of disappeared. One of the things, and I don't know how the hell I can base this on anything that can make any sort of sense whatsoever.
You picked the right show then.
Yeah, goddamn, I did, didn't I, baby? Yeah. Okay, so the Black-Eyed Kids. I'm going to fit Slender Man into this, and other paranormal entities. Is that when they become popular, they hit the zeitgeist out there. People are talking about it.
Yeah.
They tend to explode. Yeah. And are people all making this up? I don't think so. I have a feeling somewhere deep back down in my head that there are entities. I'm not sure what they are. Are they demons? Are they jinn? Are they elementals? I don't know.
Right.
But something out there very well could be paying attention. And whenever people are talking about something enough, they become it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so when it comes to Black-Eyed Kids, that to me, I mean, that's what really spurred the idea in me, is that people started seeing, Brian Bethel saw these Black-Eyed Kids, people started talking about it, and then people literally across the world, because I interviewed hundreds of people from throughout the United States, Canada, South America, Africa, Australia, I mean, all over the planet. I talked to people who encountered these Black-Eyed Kids, and now they're gone.
Yeah.
Because they've kind of lost favor. Right. Slender Man is completely made up. It's completely fictional. It was created for a
creepypasta.
That's what it is. It was created for creepypasta. It won some award or won some contest, but people started talking about it like they were actually seeing it.
Yes.
This to me also, people talk about Bigfoot a lot because that big hairy guy, in my opinion, if there's any cryptid out there that's actually real, probably the big guy.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who talk about Bigfoot as in they see him and his footprints disappear.
Yeah.
And he disappears or it disappears.
Yeah, paranormal Bigfoot, yeah.
Paranormal Bigfoot. Well, I mean, what if it's not Bigfoot? What if Bigfoot is out there, but this thing that vanishes, that people are saying maybe it goes into a different dimension, maybe it disappears into caves or whatever. Maybe it's one of these entities that's pretending to be everything else.
Right, yeah. So it's like something that manifests as Bigfoot because it knows, that would have the most, it would get the most bang for its buck or something to the witness.
Right. People are out there looking for Bigfoot, so I'm going to show them Bigfoot.
Right, yeah.
Right. So, I have nothing to base that around other than it makes some amount of sense to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of, I was kind of, I suppose, dancing around that in a way, or I hadn't really drawn that conclusion. But yeah, it certainly seems like if these people really believe that they encountered this thing, these black-eyed kids, but now they're gone, it's like, well, what the fuck happened? So it makes sense that it's like, that it is like something that sort of takes hold of the zeitgeist, and it's like, all right, everyone's like the grinning man. You hear a lot about like the grinning man sort of character. That's sort of the same way.
For a little while, it was the flannel man made an appearance.
Yeah.
There was also the whatever they called the entity that looked like the Predator. That made its appearance for a while as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's odd that we can conjure these monsters in a way, possibly by way of sort of.
Well, I mean, we could, man. What about tulpas?
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what they're based on, is being conjured by people.
Yeah. So, well, that's good, though. Then people really don't have to fear the black-eyed kids. Because when I had you on I remember back in the day when you were on, you were like, I don't want to talk about those black-eyed kids anymore. I'm afraid they're going to come to my house.
Well, actually, technically, it was my wife who was afraid that they were going to come to the house.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You know, if they come to my house, I'm not going to be wearing pants when I open the door. They're not going to hang around for long.
Yeah, you get that like saucer-eyed black-eyed kids. Like, whoa, whoa, shit! We came to the wrong house. Let's go. No, we're good coming in. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys want to come in? No. We do not want to come in. No.
Yeah. You'd be like, oh, come on in. I've been waiting for you there, black-eyed kids. They're like, oh, shit. Let's get out of here. Oh, man. Now, I've probably asked you this before, but I know you're a huge time travel aficionado. Is there a time where you would, if you had the possibility, would you go back in time too?
Man, and that is, oh God, Tim, you're opening a whole, just open a whole basket here.
Good.
Of craziness on my part. Yeah, I mean, this is not just something that I slightly think about. This is something I always think about.
Is where you go in time?
Where you go in time. I mean, I've talked to people, just randomly, just talking to people about, if you could go back in time and be yourself, in your 20s.
Yeah.
What would you do differently? And then they would, people would be like, well, I wouldn't marry this woman, or I wouldn't do this, and I wouldn't, get arrested.
Yeah.
And I think I finally come to the conclusion that that's a stupid question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't change anything. I had absolutely some shitty times in my life.
Right.
I've been married 3 times, Tim.
Yes.
That's my wife and I have been married. We're almost up on 22 years. But
there you go.
First two
you got it right this time.
I got it right the third time. The first 2 were kind of a mess. But there's no way I wouldn't marry my first 2 wives because we had kids.
There you go. Yeah.
So
and it led you to where you are now. So.
Well, right. But if I were to not marry those 2 women, I wouldn't have my children.
Right.
I couldn't do that because, man, if you change, it's the whole. It's not
okay. But now
change anything.
Okay, but now I don't mean like go back and change your own shit. Okay, so we have a time machine. Let's play. We'll just play with this. Okay, so we've got a
actually. I own a time machine.
I know you do. You ordered the
Stephen Gibbs time machine. Yeah.
The time machine from fucking Napoleon Dynamite.
Dynamite. Yeah.
You put on your lap and like it fucking.
It doesn't shock the hell out of your junk. It doesn't.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
Well, you're not using it right. That's why you haven't traveled.
Apparently.
So okay, but you can go and observe, right, or even be a participant in a time period. Not necessarily like, oh, would you change your own past, but like, okay, you can get in this thing or whatever, strap it to your, like a fanny pack and go to a time period. Is there a time period you'd like to visit?
Yes, with some qualifications.
Right. That's all we got. There's issues here. We're going to delve into.
It would have to depend. Am I going to be there for 15 minutes? Am I going to be there for 2 hours?
Okay, we'll set up some parameters here for this.
Yeah.
So let's say you're going to go for like a week. That's a pretty good amount of time.
Okay,
Not a month. A month is a long time. A day is not quite enough. A week, it's like a vacation visiting your family. So it's like a week.
So knowing exactly how long I'd be there,
yes,
I would need to be able to pack enough food and fresh water to last that time. Because any time before 1906, which is when the Pure Food and Drug Act was passed, I would get all sorts of, stomach parasites and diseases, and I wouldn't be able to hold anything down. So, God, where would I go? Yeah, I would love to see how the pyramids were built. I would love to see how Stonehenge was built before you mooned Stonehenge. Yes. I would love to see Easter Island.
That would be
before
cool.
they cut down all their trees.
Yeah.
I would love to see a lot of these things.
Okay, so
do I want to see Christ getting nailed to the cross? Hell no, that's depressing.
Right, yeah. Well, you also have to take into account, like, okay, are you walking around fucking in this society? So here we go. Like, you're right. You really, a lot of people don't take this into account, where it's like, if you're going to time travel, we're really limited to, like, really the turn of the 1900s, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean,
because even dealing with going back to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, I want to see that. I can't communicate with those people. They're speaking English, but their English isn't quite what I'm used to.
It's like that old English, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they might not be stoning people as witches, but they still might be. I don't know.
Right, that's the other part. Exactly. So you're going to stand out, and like you could pass probably from like 1900 on. You could do you could kind of just mind your P's and Q's, you'll be okay. But like, if you go back to like the Renaissance period or something, it's like they're immediately going to be like, "Who the fuck are you? You're a witch. You're a devil. You're the devil in disguise."
It's going to be like on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they went back to the Middle Ages and they got sentenced to the Iron Maiden and they said, "Yes, excellent."
Right, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's
tough.
Right. We can't go back that far. We could go back far enough to be the guy who was the hipster at the bridge dedication in Canada. Have you not seen that picture?
No. Who's this guy?
There's a guy with sunglasses. He's wearing a shirt with an M on it, a sweater. He's got a jacket. He's holding what looks like a modern camera. Uh-oh. And it's from like everybody else is wearing suits and, fedoras.
Jeez. What a waste of time travel. Why would you go back in time to look at a Canadian bridge dedication? That's just bad. Waste.
Maybe he went back to enjoy the discovery of poutine and just happened to go by the bridge. I don't know.
Yes, well, that's the throwback to your other book. I don't have it here in front of me. That's not the name of it. That's me complaining.
Oh, that's Across a Corn-Swept Land when I drove from my home to Fort Francis, Ontario to bring home some beer, and I ate poutine, which was absolutely delicious, and I was sick to my stomach for 2 days afterward.
From what? Just eating too much of it?
All the fried potatoes and the gravy and the cheese curds, man. I couldn't eat anything for 2 days.
I'm sure we talked about this on the show, but I was up in Nova Scotia and I had lobster poutine. So it was like lobster. It was like a different kind of gravy. I don't know. It was like more of a seafoody gravy. It was fantastic. It was like a chowder.
Yeah. Well, hey, what I ate was delicious. It was too much for me.
It's very rich. Yeah. It's, well, I don't know about where you are, but yeah, they've tried to make poutine a thing around here. And it's very like, nah, you can't do transplanted poutine.
No, because I brought poutine up to people here in northern Missouri, and they're like, "What? That sounds. Wait a second. That could be good." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is really good.
It's really good. Yeah. What's remarkable too is like in a lot of places it's like an app, and it's like this is a meal. This is not an app. I don't know what you're doing. You know?
No, I don't know what kind of food you eat if that's an app. Right, and it's amazing what the Canadians have come up with. I mean, if you think of Canadian food, you think of poutine, right?
Yeah,
They also invented Hawaiian pizza and the California roll. They invented the California roll as well.
I didn't know they invented Hawaiian pizza. That's strange.
It was at a pizza restaurant in the 1960s in Ontario.
Interesting. Hawaiian pizza. Well, everybody, that's a very controversial food choice there, Hawaiian pizza. Where do you stand on that?
I just had some on Friday. I love Hawaiian pizza.
Really?
Little bit of pineapple, a little bit of Canadian bacon, a little bit of. I love to put some jalapenos on it, but I like jalapenos on everything.
Yeah, I haven't had Hawaiian pizza in a long time, so it's maybe I should get some soon.
You know, I make my own pizza a lot, and I try some things. Sauerkraut and sausage is a great pizza topping.
Sauerkraut and sausage.
Yeah.
On just a regular pizza.
On a regular pizza. I've also tried, I sliced them really thin, and I used strawberries. The strawberry pizza was actually pretty good.
A strawberry pizza.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm highly skeptical of that one.
Well, you should be, because it sounds absolutely crazy.
This is controversial tonight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jason Offutt bringing out the controversy on Binnall of America, baby.
We're going to get Twitter comments from people. They're going to be like, what the fuck did I just hear on Binnall of America tonight?
Well, I also did blueberry, but I wasn't going to brag on it because it wasn't as good as strawberry, but it was okay.
Dude. You're out of control over there.
Yeah.
Now, so you're working on North American monsters. Is there going to be any more American monsters in this book, or just sort of the other nations of North America?
No, I'm doing it. In fact, I'm working on the United States right now. I just wrote a piece on the bear man of Clio, Texas.
Interesting. The bear man of Clio, Texas.
Bear man of Clio, Texas. Clio, Texas doesn't exist anymore. In 1990, there were 3 inhabitants of this small town in, what part? It's a southern part. It's more southern part of Texas. Anyway, when the people settled there back in the 1800s, in order to make sure that they had enough land to build their town, they killed all of the Native Americans.
Oh, no.
As I guess people were wont to do back in the day,
right?
And one of the remaining people of the tribe was their shaman, who was able to turn himself into a wolf. So he stalked the night, and he wasn't the bear man. He was the monster of Bear Creek. There we go. And he killed tons of white people. Because, they were jerks.
Yeah, they killed all his guys.
They killed all his guys, so why not kill all their guys?
Yeah. Terrible. All right. The monster of Bear Creek. Interesting. All right. Well,
I think one of the most interesting things that I've come across while I was writing about this, and it actually wasn't just about this, because I was looking into South America as well.
Yeah.
The Jeffersonian ground sloth. And it's called Jeffersonian because Thomas Jefferson was also an anthropologist, not an anthropologist, a paleontologist. He dug up bones. Jesus. And he discovered the giant ground sloth of the Americas.
Wow.
And it was like 12 feet tall. It had 3 claws, as sloths tend to do, and it was bipedal mostly. It would walk on 4 legs, but it could stand on its hind legs and do most things. And there are reports in the 80s in Canada of people seeing a monster, and they described it, and it fit that description.
Interesting.
And there are also encounters from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s from South America of the same monster.
Oh, wow.
So there very well could still be a Pleistocene Jeffersonian ground sloth population still living in the Americas, which I find absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm all about it. I'd be a big fan of that. Maybe that accounts for Bigfoot.
Well, and that's what people have said, that maybe this is Bigfoot. And one of the things that matter of fact, the only thing that makes me think that it could be mistaken for Bigfoot is the fact that from Louisiana all the way up to Minnesota. So we're going Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Minnesota. They have reports of three-toed Bigfoots.
Right, exactly. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Right. In Louisiana, it was the Honey Island Swamp Monster. In Arkansas, it was the Folk Monster, which was, the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah. That's
what that was. In Missouri, it's Momo. And there are also reports in Iowa and Minnesota. And they're all really close to the Mississippi River, which makes total sense because if there is a breeding population, they're probably migrating up and down the Mississippi River.
Interesting.
Yeah. And could it be a ground sloth? Well, they have the 3 toes.
Right, exactly. Who are we to say? Who are we to say there aren't? There'll be people out there that go, meow. But, who wants to talk to those people? They're no fun.
I'm not. And generally, whenever people talk about, no, a UFO is this. No, Bigfoot is this. No, bullshit. You have no idea what you're talking about because we don't know. Science doesn't know. So any speculation that I might make about anything in the paranormal is just as valid as yours. Don't say I'm wrong.
Have you looked at contemporaneous reports of woolly mammoths up in the northern Canada area?
There were reports, and I wrote about this in my first monster book, Chasing American Monsters, back in 2019. There were reports from the Inuit people and a group of American military who were up there, and the Inuits. And this is what I really find funny in a sad way, is that across the world, us Western people talk to the natives. And the natives tell us these stories, and we're like, oh, those are cute stories, but they can't be real.
Right, yeah, that happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And sometimes the stories turn out to be true.
Right.
So why don't we listen to these people? And one of these, and that was kind of it with woolly mammoths is the Inuits talked about these huge furry beasts that made this trumpeting noise through their long nose, and they had these long teeth that stuck out from their face.
Yeah.
And one of the military men was like, "Wait a second, you just showed me." One of the Inuits handed him a tusk, and it was still raw and bloody at the end.
Oh boy!
So wow, this is recent. So they went out hunting for them, and they actually saw a number of mammoths. I mean, this was back in the 1800s, and newspapers printed a lot of crazy stuff back then. But if there's any place that mammoths could live, why not Alaska and Canada?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was the kind of that was the belief, I think. During the Western expansion, that they would find woolly mammoths out there because they didn't know, what would be out there. I mean, so it's entirely possible. I believe. I also still believe in sort of the remnant dinosaur idea. I mean, why not?
In certain parts of the world, like the Mokele Mbembe from the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Yeah.
I mean, did that ever get cold enough to freeze reptiles? I don't know. If there's any place in the world that would have, dinosaurs, why not there? Why not South America? Why not Mexico, where there are a lot of pterodactyl reports? I mean, the same as in New Guinea.
Yeah,
they report pterodactyls there as well. So no, I'm totally on board with the possibility that there are remnant dinosaurs out there.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting that we. I feel like people discount the possibility, like the air and the sea are way more expansive than we can really wrap our minds around. It's like, it's one thing to be like, okay, where would a Bigfoot live if it, but it's like, well, if the things can travel through the air or they can go in the water, it's like, there's a lot more flexibility for these creatures than people are willing to entertain sometimes.
Right. I mean, especially, there are lakes in North America. I mean, all over the world, but in North America, there's some hugely deep lakes. Anything can live there.
Exactly.
And I'm not just talking about the Great Lakes. There are some actual lakes outside of the Great Lakes that are actually deeper than the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, anything can live in those. And then you go to the oceans.
Forget about it.
Totally. I mean, I read a couple of years ago Thor Heyerdahl's book, Kon-Tiki. For those of you out there who don't know what that is, Thor Heyerdahl was a Norwegian anthropologist, and he had a theory or a hypothesis that people from Peru, ancient peoples from Peru, were connected with ancient peoples of the Polynesian islands, and that they traveled back and forth. And he was, of course, discounted by everyone. But he had his ideas were based on a lot of the architecture, sculptures, and some of the words that were used in the islands were the same as words that were used in Peru, and some of the plants and animals were the same and shouldn't have been. So what he did was possibly 54, 53. He and a few other Norwegians built a raft that the ancient Peruvians would have built from native materials, balsa logs, and they went out to the ocean and they sailed 4,000 or 5,000 miles. And, it was absolutely fascinating.
What year was this?
It was in the 50s.
Oh, okay. Damn. That's brave.
But, totally. But one of the things, the reason I'm bringing this up, it has to do with we don't know things in the ocean. Where they were going was completely away from the shipping lanes. And Heyerdahl wrote that he and his companions would see off the side of their raft in the middle of the night, thousands of miles from any human beings whatsoever, lights under the water.
Oh, weird. Following
the boat. And from his description, I talked with a marine biologist about this. And of course, there are plants, there are animals in the ocean that are self-illuminating.
Yes, bioluminescence.
Right. But from the descriptions that Thor Heyerdahl gave, the guy was like, I have no idea what that is.
Interesting.
So, what's out there? We have no damn idea what's out there. There's a famous picture of what looks like a plesiosaur skeleton and corpse that a Japanese ship had pulled out of the water.
Yeah.
And people, have said, oh, no, that's just a decomposing whale. Well, really? I don't know. I mean, there could be if there could have been, aquatic dinosaurs that escaped, extinction, because the ocean is impossibly huge.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like it's so unexplored, and when that submersible thing happened last summer, I was looking at a thing. The submersible was like it wasn't even in the grand scheme of things. It wasn't even that deep. In the ocean, but it was like you can't, like they're like whales can't even get down that far. But it's like, who knows? Maybe some super giant, maybe there are super giant creatures that can go even further into the ocean, like what one would assume.
The Meg,
like super giant, exactly. He's doing a shark thing across the screen. You can't see it, but maybe if we cut out a clip for the show, we'll put that on there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so no, for sure. I mean, I never even thought about it until that submersible thing happened, and then I was like, oh, I guess you can't. Oh, now I understand why you can't go way down into the ocean, because it's just like you're just getting crushed by the pressure. But if you're like giant, then it's no big deal. You're like, oh, yeah, whatever. So,
right. I mean, whatever. The old map makers drew enormous octopus or squid wrapping ships up, on their maps for a reason. We've captured images. We've captured enough of enormous squid, but there are things down there that have to be bigger than what we know about.
Yeah, exactly. Someday maybe we'll be able to develop the technology to go
and find Cthulhu
down there. Exactly. Yeah. Because I read something about they sent one of those down to like the Marianas Trench, like way. James Cameron went in it. And it was like, it's terrifying. He's like in a little titanium ball that's inside this giant thing. And it's like, again, watching the thing with the submersible, it's like, holy shit, this guy's got some guts, man. I don't know if I could do that.
I mean, I remember when he did that, and I'm thinking, here I am, wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. I can do anything I want.
Right.
And I'm going to stick myself in a metal sphere and possibly force myself to my death. It makes no sense.
Well, I suppose when you've done all that and you have the money, I mean, you can you want to really do something crazy. Some people do, I suppose.
Well, William Shatner went to space to low Earth orbit when he was in his 90s, but he's in his 90s, so at that point, what the hell?
What's the point? Yeah. He's like 96 now or something, right?
Yeah. I went and saw him when he was 93 or 92 or 93, do his one-man stage show. And that man worked the stage for 2 solid hours.
Yeah, he doesn't look or act a day older than 70 when you see him.
That would have exhausted me, but he did great, yeah.
Now, speaking of Star Trek, since the last time we talked, I had to check because, we hadn't chatted about this place in Ticonderoga. You need to find some publisher who will pay you to do a book about your journey to Ticonderoga, like a across a corn-swept land version of you journeying to Ticonderoga. I'll fucking meet you there, man. It's a magical place, Ticonderoga, in a weird way.
I tell you what, Tim, I couldn't do it unless you did meet me there.
Yes, that would be the thing. You'd be going to Ticonderoga. We got to fool a publisher into paying for this book.
We've got to do that, and I've got to hit Riverside, Iowa, in the middle of June, on my way to Ticonderoga, because Riverside, Iowa, has named itself the birthplace of the future birthplace of Captain James T. Kirk, and they have a Star Trek festival every year.
Well, there you go. Well, they have a Star Trek event at the place in Ticonderoga.
Well, they have to. I saw your pictures, man. It looks amazing.
It's surreal. It is one of the weirdest places I've ever been, and I've been to a lot of weird places. It's like you're in this real kind of sad city that used to be happening, and it's they're not even trying anymore. Like you go to some of these places that were big, like before the Western expansion, like in Vermont or Western Mass. They're trying to sort of rebuild from that. But now, there you go. I'm talking about like small towns, but that were once like big because they were like, well, there's not as many towns. So was
that the pencil place?
Yes, they're somehow tied to the pencil. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but they're tied to the pencil industry. I think they might have supplied the lead or something, maybe, but I'm not sure. But they were certainly, I don't know if they're really a part of the pencil industry anymore. I know Walmart came into town and wiped like everything out. But
God damn it. That happens everywhere.
I know. And it happened at Ticonderoga, dude. And so what the weird part is you're in downtown, such as it is, Ticonderoga, very sad little main street. Most of the places are shut down. And you just turn around and there's the Star Trek logo. And it's like Star Trek Original Series Set Tour. And you go in, and it's like everything is like perfectly clean and nice and modern, and it's like you're going into like a Regal Cinema kind of thing. It's like they have someone who has to vacuum every night before they close or whatever, that kind of thing, and dust and make sure there's no trash. It's like pristine, and it's amazing. It's like you're in another world. It really is. And then they take you through, and you go through all the sets that have been meticulously crafted out of off the original blueprints from the Star Trek series sets. Man. Yeah, you go nuts, dude. You go. I'm not even a Star Trek fan. I was like, this is really cool.
Dude, I don't think you'd want to be there with me, Tim. I don't think you would. A few years ago, my oldest daughter lived in Houston. She has moved recently, but she took me the first time I went down there to visit her. Took me to the Johnson Space Center.
Yeah,
in Houston, and it was, as a big NASA fan, as a big Apollo program fan, because I grew up in that era. Man, I was just blown away. But when we were in the main section of the museum, they had the Enterprise's Galileo shuttlecraft.
Oh, wow.
From the episode The Galileo 7.
Yeah.
And my daughter's like, Dad, there's, Buzz Aldrin wore that uniform. He wore that spacesuit. You want to see
like,
it?
All about
there's a moon rock right over there. I'm like, that's goddamn Galileo, honey. Yeah.
Oh man, she must have been thrilled with you.
She was.
Yeah. Well, it's a cool place. If you can ever, if we can't fool the publisher, if you ever want to make it out to Ticonderoga, you let me know. I'll meet you there, dude. It's fucking awesome. We'll tell Aaron Golias to come. He's a huge Star Trek fan too.
Yeah, you know what? Man, I'm not going to fool a publisher. I'm just going to hit him head on with it.
Just go, yeah. I got to go see this.
Just hit him head on, yeah.
Tie it in like to Star Trek somehow, obviously, but
I'll Ticonderoga it into Star Trek.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah. It's, I do a lot of things,
not all of them hit.
There you go. Well, it's a great place. It's cool. It's a fun weekend, that's for sure. Ticonderoga, and they have it's like an hour away from where Lake Champlain, which is where Lake
Champ is.
Yeah,
Champ. We go see Champ. Man, you're making this sound even better.
We're planning a weekend right here on the show.
Damn right we are.
We'll commit to like some kind of pilgrimage. We'll just tell people, if you build it, they will come. We'll be like, look, you all got to get here to Ticonderoga this weekend. We're all gonna be there. So, how far away do you think that is from you?
It's what, New York?
Yeah.
It's
upstate-ish.
It's a long way.
Yeah.
The United States is big, and I'm like right in the middle. Doesn't matter. We have things called airplanes now, Tim.
There you go. I don't know if you can fly into Ticonderoga, but maybe. You can fly into Glens Falls, which is where everybody...
The hell's at Glens Falls?
That's like the city that's like where, if you're too big for Ticonderoga, that's where like Shatner and all the Star Trek people stay. They
stay in Glens Falls.
Yeah, they're too big for Ticonderoga, so they stay in Glens Falls, which is more of a...
Oh, yeah. Why was the city named that? There was a guy named Glenn who drank too much.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You're out of control. Did you see the eclipse? Did you see the eclipse?
I didn't. We were under clouds.
Oh, did you see it the last time?
We were under clouds.
Okay, the last time it didn't even cross over.
No, the last one in 2017.
Yeah.
I was in the best place.
Yeah.
To see it. And we had cloud cover.
Oh, boy.
That always happened to me when I was a kid. I wanted to see the Perseid meteor shower.
Yeah.
And I would tell my parents, I'm like, would you wake me up at midnight? Let's go outside and see it. And it was always cloudy.
Oh, man. And then you can't get back to bed. And then they're like really pissed.
Well, I got back to bed, yeah, but they didn't. And they were really pissed. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, did you grow up in Missouri?
Yes. I grew up on a farm way in the middle of frickin' nowhere, which was a great way to grow up. I'm actually surprised I have all my fingers still.
Well, give it time.
Well, I'm not around farm equipment anymore.
Yes, but,
Yeah.
You got a lot of life left to live and 10 fingers. So, it's, who knows what's going to happen.
Who knows? Yeah.
Ticonderoga, dude. We could go to the pencil factory and next
God
thing
damn
you know.
it, you're making it sound a lot more fun now. Yes.
What, you come home with 9 fingers, your family's like, what the fuck happened in Ticonderoga, dude?
My wife will be like, you had too much fun.
Yeah, pencil factory.
She said way too much fun.
Jesus. Oh, man. I put my finger in the thing where they put the eraser on and, next thing you know, that little metal thing sliced it right off. Shit. Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's fun. You'd like it a lot. It's a good 2 hours. I bet you'd probably stretch it to like 3 or 4. So it's, I want to see you and the 20-something kid doing the tour. Because, they seem like they know a lot of shit because I don't know anything about Star Trek. But I'd like to see you be like, well, as a matter of fact, this was, I don't know.
Man, being there with my kids, especially the 9-year-old who would be standing there the whole time with her arms crossed looking pissed.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't want to go when Shatner's there, but I was, me, there's a bar right across the street. And so before I went to the tour, I had a couple of beers at the bar. And they said when Shatner, now this might not be the case now that he's 96, but more even recently, and if you go on the Google reviews for the bar across from the place, Shatner fucking goes there and hangs out. And they said Shatner tended bar one night. So he must have been staying in Ticonderoga that time. But yeah, they were like, if you go on the Google reviews, someone's like, fucking great place, little hole in the wall bar. Bill Shatner fucking served me beer here. It was crazy. So yeah.
What would be better than having William Shatner serve you beer?
It would be pretty awesome.
It would be pretty awesome.
Now, would you go into space like Bill Shatner did?
When I was a kid, Tim, I'm an old man.
Yeah.
All right. So I grew up. My very first memory where I know exactly what the date is was my mom set me in front of the TV and said, Jason, I was 4 years old. She set me in front of our black and white Magnavox. Could have been a Zenith, I don't remember. But she set me in front of it and said, Jason, watch this. You're going to remember it for the rest of your life. And I saw this grainy, shitty video of a guy in a spacesuit.
Walking on the moon.
Walking on the damn moon, man.
Yeah.
And I still remember that. And, yes, space is something I always wanted. As I was a kid, I always wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Anything to do with the Apollo program, man, I was all over it. I started drinking Tang because of the astronauts, and you know what? Tang sucks. It's always sucked.
Yeah, it seems kind of lousy. I don't think I've ever had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you clearly have reached the same conclusion that I have. I'm a little bit younger than you, and it's like we're not going to go into space, dude. I don't care. Bill Shatner can go because he's fucking 90 and a celebrity and shit. It's we're not. I'm not gonna. It's going to be too expensive, even if it becomes something you can do. Even if it gets the most I would pay to go into space is $1,000. That's my limit.
That's the max right there. $1,000.
That's it.
No, man, I've seen a couple of times. Richard Branson, I think, was the first one, and then Musk did it. You can sign up. We're going to have a lottery because we're going to Mars and start a colony. And we're going to start this lottery, and we want people to apply, and we'll pick people. And they will be our first colonist on Mars. And I'm like,
right.
That would be so cool. And I never filled a form out because I was like, man, what if I got picked?
Right. Well, you have to stay there.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool to go, even though I was going to die, but I'm not going.
Well, you have to. You're stuck there, dude. And look, with all due respect, I'm kind of a writer too myself nowadays, and a podcaster. So it's and you're obviously a writer. we don't really bring discernible skills to the table to start a colony on Mars. It's like if there's something like, I often say this around the house here, where it's like, look, I could maybe write a story for you about this, but I can certainly not change your fucking tire or tell you what's wrong with the water heater. Like that's what they pay people to do. I write about it.
Right, exactly. I mean, I can do the writing part, and I grew up on a farm. I even suck at farming. That's why I became a journalist and later a teacher.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even do that skill.
Yeah. It's tough. We're in a bad spot here for this space colonization. But like I said, we're already too old. We're
gonna die before we need to go to Mars anyway. So
exactly,
we got that going for us.
Do you think we're on the cusp? This is probably too loaded a question. Do you think we're on the cusp of the apocalypse? You wrote "Bad Day for the Apocalypse." So
yeah, but it was mine was more funny.
Okay,
if an apocalypse can be funny. No, we're actually on the cusp. We got a lot of shit going on this planet that I don't like at all. We've got the whole thing with Israel and Palestine and Iran going on and
wars, all kinds of wars and
wars.
Global,
we got
even if everybody was getting along, the planet's like dying and shit. So it's like, we got that going on too.
Yeah, I really wished what Reagan would have talked about would have come to fruition, that, we would meet somebody from outer space and we would suddenly become, instead of Americans and Russians and the Chinese, we would become people of Earth.
Yes, Earthlings. Yeah. That's the dream, right? That's the dream.
That's the dream.
So, now, you love space, you love the world of the paranormal, so it stands to reason. Have you been following this UFO stuff that's been going on, in the last 5 or 6 years?
Oh, tied at the hip, man. I never, ever thought in December 2019, when the New York Times printed a story about unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomena.
There you go.
Being reported by the Navy, I never thought I would see that printed in the New York Times, and God damn it, it happened.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And it's just more stuff has happened since then, and I've thought for a long time that we would, hopefully before I die, we find out that, yes, there's aliens out there and they've been visiting us. I think there's plenty of evidence to show that they are.
Yeah.
And that they have been. And just statistically alone.
Yeah, with all the planets, yeah.
With all the planets, Carl Sagan said this, but he was quoting somebody else, and I don't remember the name of the person he was quoting, but he said, with all of the stars out there, all of them having planets circling them, if we're the only planet with intelligent life, what a waste of space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Damn. So statistically, we can't be alone.
Yeah. Well, space is like the ocean, dude. It's massive, and we can't we don't even have the tools to go and do an exploration of it. It's like the submersible thing. It's like we can't even go. They're trying to get back to the moon now. It's like we can't even get to the shitty fucking moon, and that's like not even that far, relatively speaking. So it's like, shit. We got to figure out even how to make the machines to get out into space.
You know what? I love conspiracy theories because mostly they're crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them make some kind of sense. I think my favorite of all time was, you had a guest on once, a guy talking about the Titanic conspiracy.
I don't know if I had a show. I don't know if I did.
You
that
didn't?
No.
I thought that was you.
No.
Anyway, but
I will do one eventually.
I love conspiracy theories, but I think most of them are absolute BS.
Yeah.
However, the fact that we went to the moon, not just once, but let me see, we was 11, 12, not 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 6 times. We went to the moon 6 times.
Yeah.
In the late 60s, early 70s. and we can't go back now.
It's maddening. Yeah.
Hell, the original, Apollo ships were basically built like the fort that I built in a tree when I was a kid.
Yeah,
that was basically what it was.
It's always confused me, like, why they don't just build another one like that, just to do it, just to have it, just to go and do it. Like, I mean, I get that they want to build a new modern one, and they have, and it's supposed to be happening like in the next 3 or 4 years, which will be awesome, because then the moon hoax people will be like, no, this is bullshit too. It's all fake. They'll never believe anything. So, but I've always been a big believer in the idea that, like, they either found something on the moon that they had to, like, keep a secret, or they were told to not come back. Yeah, that's my favorite one, of course. They're like, whoever's there was like, look, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're not welcome on the moon. This is our turf, and we use it to watch you. So just you can't be coming backstage, dude, or whatever. That would be awesome. So, I mean, yeah, the moon's a mysterious place, dude. There's a theory that it's like hollow, or that it was put into place by some kind of other, alien race or something, and then it's like a ship or something. Who knows?
Right. And on the surface that sounds absolutely crazy, but looking at the moon,
yeah,
the fact that its orbit is perfect, the fact that it
doesn't move, right? It's got that just like
we can't see. Yeah, it's the one side faces us the whole time,
which is really weird.
Which is extremely weird. The fact that it's the perfect size that when it's between us and the sun,
yes,
that it perfectly blocks out the sun.
Right.
I mean, there are so many strange things with the moon. The fact that when I don't remember what Apollo mission it was, but when they let the lander. When they shot the lander back toward the moon, because they wanted to see what was going to happen whenever something hit the moon, and they said it rang like a bell.
Yeah.
Hollow things ring like a bell, not
not a big rock.
Exactly. So I mean, there's a lot of weird things about the moon. There's a book by a couple of British guys called "Who Built the Moon."
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, that has to do with that whole thing. And their conclusion, I thought, was absolutely the silliest, was that us from the future came back and built the moon in the past to save the Earth from being destroyed by meteorites.
Interesting. Wow.
That made no sense.
Yeah. That's dumb.
How would they be there in the future
to make it if the
Exactly.
Right. It doesn't make sense, yeah, because I'm talking to a time travel aficionado, so of course you see the holes in this story. It makes no sense.
Oh, exactly. Just like the temporal causality loop in the first Terminator. Come on, these things are easy to pick out.
Exactly. Well, I'd like to travel back in time, but I wouldn't go any further than like 1900 probably. So that limits what you can see, but there's still plenty of cool shit to see.
I don't know. I think I'd hit the 50s. I think the 50s would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. All that time period.
It might have to do with Back to the Future, but maybe not. I don't know.
See, I'm a little lot younger than you, so I think I would have to go. I've developed a real affinity for the 70s because it's just so fucking weird. Like, there's just so much weirdness going on. It, like, seems just like the real weird fucking time. Not just like you got the crop circles, you got fucking D.B. Cooper, you've got, the lady who got kidnapped by the people there, that was like...
Patty Hearst, man.
Patty Hearst, dude.
Yeah.
It's like just weird shit. The people that took the bus, the guys who took the bus and fucking buried it with the kids in it.
Was it down in Florida or some shit like
California.
that? California, yeah.
Yeah, like, just people doing weird fucking shit. So it's
dude, if you would see my third grade picture from the 70s, that the lapels on my shirt were big enough to land a goddamn aircraft on. You'd see how weird that is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think I'd do all right in the 70s. I think I'd be like, people would be like, all right, he's cool. You know, I assume, I think it was the same time period, like Studio 54, that kind of shit. And just like,
that was the late 70s. And in the late 60s, early 70s. Oh, man. And I have an original copy of it here somewhere, not where I can grab it and show you. Not that your listening audience can see, but that's when Eric Von Daniken came out with the Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah. Because that's like
when that was huge.
Yes, that's like when the UFO thing was kind of fizzling out because the Condon thing came in like early 70s, and it was like, okay, UFOs are kind of fizzling out. Then it's like, well, we got fucking crop circles, fucking, you know, all the other shit, all the peripheral shit, like took off in the 70s because it was like, well, what else are we going to look at? And it was like, oh, okay, well, what about this weird shit? So, yeah, it would be a great time to be alive. Now, when I was looking at your website here, this stood out to me. Now, this was a children's book, but I've never heard this story, and I figure you literally wrote the book. Tell me about this Ella Ewing, the Missouri Giantess.
All right. Well, she had a medical problem, but she grew to be like 8 foot 11, 8'4". I don't know. She was well over 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
and she was hired by P.T. Barnum to be in his circus.
Yeah,
because she was absolutely enormous, and she made some money, and she liked playing the piano and having friends over, and hit her head a lot on the tops of doors, and she was an enormous human being, an absolute. They would call it a freak back then.
Yes,
yeah, but she, she was, unfortunately, but she would go to make money. She would, growing up and later in life, would go to the local county fair, and people would pay money just to look at her being tall.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of, you don't have much. I guess you just try. Yeah, I mean, I can see you use it to your advantage, right? So it's like, well, shit, I'm a giant, so I might as well just go around the country and fucking people can pay to like look at me. I mean,
if I could get people to pay me, to look at me, just because I'm balding and have a beer belly, I would totally take that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you and me both. We could do a double bill.
That's right. The balding beer belly twins. Let's make some money, Tim. Going a cross-country tour. We're going to start Ticonderoga.
That was us. You just took the words right out of my mouth. First stop, Ticonderoga, baby. We'll launch the tour there. Oh, my God. Oh, man. Well, the book's coming out. I don't know when this episode's going to drop, but within either it's coming out soon. It's coming out on June 4th. The Boy from Two Worlds. It's the sequel to The Girl from the Corn, the award-winning The Girl from the Corn.
The multiple award-winning Girl in the Corn, yes.
Multiple award-winning, yes. And, of course, you got a whole bunch of other books. I already went over them here, but so You Had to Build a Time Machine is your time machine fiction book. Bad Day for the Apocalypse, Bad Day for a Road Trip, A Funeral Story. These are the fictions. And then, of course, Chasing American Monsters, 250 Creatures, Cryptids, and Hairy Beasts. You're the one who, all credit in the world, you're the one who introduced me to the squonk.
Right. And it's from this book.
Yes. Yeah, that's the first I heard of the squonk.
From, I believe it's from Wisconsin.
The squonk is huge now, dude.
Well, I mean, I'd like to take some credit for it, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's got a great name.
They even have a squonk festival in Pennsylvania now.
In Pennsylvania. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so the squonk
I should go.
You should. You should go.
On our way to Ticonderoga.
It's a little out of the way, but maybe we can fit it in somehow.
I'm going to have to fly to Kansas City, and we're going to have to go on a road trip. We can go to the Star Trek Festival in Riverside, Iowa, and stop at the Squonk Fest.
All right, we have to time this out really well. It's just going to be like threading threading a very weird needle, but it's entirely possible. So when you're working on the new book, it's Chasing North American Monsters. Do you have any idea when that might be coming out?
Not exactly when it's coming out, but it's due to the publisher in October. So right. I'm imagining in early or mid 2025 is when it's going to be out.
Well, we'll have you back on the show then to talk about it because I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, sir.
You know I do love the monsters. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up? You going to go see the new Planet of the Apes movie?
You know what? I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is the only movie I have a desire to go see in the theater.
Yes,
I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan. When I was a kid, I remember watching the original 1968 Planet of the Apes movie. I might have been 8 or 9. And the ending absolutely blew me away. And knowing that I'm not even going to say what the ending was, even though from 1968, is it really a spoiler? But, and as an adult, finding that was written by the ending was written by Rod Serling, I'm like,
it's all
that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But I've always loved the Planet of the Apes and the trilogy that started, and I think it was 2011.
The new trilogy, yeah.
The new trilogy is freaking brilliant. I loved every second of all 3 movies, and I'm hoping this continues on with that because it looks good.
Yes, it
does. Are you going to go see it?
Oh, I am a huge Apes fan, dude. I will absolutely be seeing it. And I don't want to – I got to temper expectations. Actually, by the time people hear this, the movie will have come out because it's coming out on Friday. But I've seen the commercials, dude, and one of the commercials has – you know how they put the things like, smells like ape and shit or whatever. But this one's like better than the fucking trilogy. That's what they say. Some critic who saw the movie said better than the fucking trilogy. It surpasses the trilogy, I think is the quote. So this is what I've been waiting for. We had Tanner Boyle. He's a huge Apes fan too on the show. We had like a fucking 10-minute conversation about this at the end of the show, but I don't care. This is turning into like the Ape Cast. But yes, I love that trilogy. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Every moment of it is fantastic. But now we're getting to where I want to be in the ape story. And I love the trilogy because the trilogy, it's not like that fucking Tim Burton movie, which is still good in like kind of a weird comedic way. But it's like, they just remade the original story. It was like, I think it's a different twist at the end. But it's like,
but actually, it was really similar to the twist in the novel that was written in 1963.
Yes, exactly. And so, but what I love about the new trilogy is like it starts from the very fucking beginning of the story, and it's only brought us up to we haven't even gotten into the original Planet of the Apes part. Like now we're getting into it now. Like now we're at a real planet of the fucking apes, man. Like now we're at the Planet of the Apes part, and so I presume that this trilogy is going to capstone. I heard they're trying to make it into a new trilogy, and if this does well, I assume they will. And it's going to capstone will come around full circle because I think in the original trilogy they mentioned that the spaceship went off Icarus, and it's out there. They did.
There was a newspaper.
Yes.
And I think it was the first of the new trilogy that had the Icarus was lost in space.
Yes. So it's set up that. So it's setting up. It's going to happen. The original Planet of the Apes is going to happen. Like, it's going to tie into all this, and it's going to be fucking brilliant. And
I hope it is, man. I've got so much. I'm so excited about it. In preparation, I've been watching. You might not even know about this. In 1975,
I saw you tweet about the cartoon. Yeah,
about the cartoon. Yeah, in 1975, a cartoon came out called "Return to the Planet of the Apes," and I've been watching it, and it is the most batshit crazy stuff. Yeah. But in the best way.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing was I've been watching this and the general, his name's Urko. I'm like, I know this guy. I know the voice. The voice sounds so familiar. And I looked it up and it's Fred Flintstone.
Oh wow.
So Fred Flintstone is the villain
of the cartoon Planet of the Apes.
Cartoon Planet of the Apes, yeah.
Wow. Now we have come full circle.
Yeah.
Which is fitting in a way because Fred Flintstone's like a caveman. So it's kind of like the people in Planet of the Apes are like cavemen. So it's kind of interesting.
They're like the modern Stone Age family.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right, brother. Well, on that note, I think we've touched on all the stuff. As I said, the new book, The Boy from Two Worlds, comes out June 4th. You can pre-order it on Amazon right now. And if you're listening to this, check on the deal that Jason was talking about. I don't know if it's still available right now by the time you're listening to this, but it might still be. And if it is, go and get the free version of The Girl in the Corner. And if it's not, buy the fucking book, dude, because you're going to enjoy it. If you've heard Jason on the show for 15 years, he's been on the show for 15 years, folks. It's really, he's part of the fabric of Binnall of America. As I joked with Josh Cutchin when we had him on the show a few weeks ago, it's like, because Brian T 2023, some guy on Twitter was like this week, he was like, Jason, are you going to be on the new Binnall? And it was like, oh, little do you know, Brian T 2023, he's actually already scheduled for the new Binnall. And but I joked with Josh Cutchin, it's like you can tell who my closest friends are because I don't make them come on the show all the time. I wouldn't force my friends to endure this torture. Of course, I joke because I do love having these conversations with my dear old friends who've been on the show for so many years. And it's been great catching up with you, man. And, as long as the revival's churning along, we're definitely going to have you back on BOA to chat about all kinds of stuff.
Tim, BOA has been a shining light in the world of paranormal radio, and I've always loved being on with you. You are probably my favorite interviewer because it's not an interview. We're just sitting around BSing. We're just having fun, man.
Exactly. That's the BOA way, man. Thank you so much, brother. It's been great catching up with you.
Same.